U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has announced more than $400 million in fresh aid for displaced Palestinians in Gaza. Blinken was speaking at a humanitarian aid conference in Jordan, which was also attended by Arab leaders. Blinken also called on Israel to speed up the inspection of aid trucks and reduce civilian casualties. Here's some of what he had to say.
And all the Palestinian civilians suffering in Gaza, we know they're not numbers, they're not abstractions. They're human beings, they're children, they're women, they're men, who all want the same things that we want for ourselves and for our loved ones. Just like the people who were murdered in Israel on October 7th, just like the hostages who continue to be held in Gaza to this day. So we all have to recommit to doing our part to ensure that these individuals can not merely survive, but that they can live in peace. They can have their rights respected. They can have an opportunity to realize their dreams.
I'm joined now from Deir al-Bala in Gaza by Hisham Mhanna from the International Committee of the Red Cross. Welcome, sir. Do you think the conference in Jordan can meaningfully contribute to improving the humanitarian situation in Gaza?
Hello, Barish, and thank you for having me. 92 statements have been delivered in the summit today, and they all share the same message. And it's the same message, nearly what the ICRC president, Mrs. Mhanna delivered in her speech, that actions are now needed more than ever, especially after the adapting the resolution by the United Nations Security Council yesterday, Resolution 2738. There are two main asks that were delivered by the president of the International Committee of the Red Cross. First is for a faithful implementation of the spirit and the letters of the international humanitarian law, the Geneva Conventions, that call for the protection of all civilians, that all those deprived of liberty must be treated humanely, and for also the unconditional release of all hostages. And the second ask is to ensure the protection of civilians and to ensure there is impartial aid that is allowed to enter Gaza urgently and, most importantly, safely. What humanitarian workers have been facing recently across all the Gaza Strip is unprecedented level of complication, and it's becoming very dangerous to sustain humanitarian operations and provide urgently needed assistance for hundreds of thousands of Palestinians across the Gaza Strip. This has to be changed immediately, as many, many lives hang in the balance here.
What needs to be done immediately so that aid delivery can be improved?
Well, there is a discussion around the deal. The International Committee of the Red Cross stands ready to implement or facilitate the implementation of this agreement, as we did last November, which resulted in the facilitation of transfer of over 100 hostages and hundreds of Palestinian detainees be reunited with their families and expand the humanitarian assistance entering Gaza. This could start immediately, pending on political will by all parties. So people in Gaza, across all the Gaza Strip, the whole population have high hopes now that this could come to an end. The ceasefire could be applied, the bloodshed could stop, and they could have a respite after 8 months of fighting. All borders with the Gaza Strip must be open to allow humanitarian aid to enter. For example, our field hospital in Rafah, the ICRC field hospital in Rafah, is providing urgently needed healthcare services, one of very, very few field hospitals that are still operational there, but they cannot substitute the hospitals that are run by the Ministry of Health because of the limited capacity. We fear that we're becoming, every day, we're becoming short on our supplies, on the fuel reserves, and we may be forced to halt our operations. That translates into losing lives. This is how critical the situation is in Gaza now.
And what is the situation with aid deliveries currently in Gaza?
As long the military operation continues in northern Gaza, in the middle of Gaza, and in southern Gaza, mainly in Rafah, there would be no humanitarian aid that would enter that would suffice or cover the needs of thousands of people. Humanitarian needs are generated every day, by the hour, as long as there are hostilities everywhere. And after the closure of Rafah crossing, which represented the main gateway for the humanitarian aid on trucks entering Gaza, we have witnessed a significant decline in the level of aid that reaches the people. And this must be changed immediately. Israel, as an occupying power, must ensure that civilians have access to all necessities of life that would be deemed for their own survival, including food, water, healthcare, medicines, and on top of all, safety and security. There are capacities that are willing to work, but they need to be enabled to work,
Right.
and they need to have access to the aid as soon as possible and safely.
Israel, though, says it is not a problem of what aid it is allowing in, it's a problem of distribution. But we'll just leave it there for context. Hisham, Mhanna, speaking to us from Gaza. Thanks so much for that.
Thank you.